Welcome back, Delirious Gamers. On today's content, we're gonna do things a bit differently. Different in the sense that we won't be going over a build guide, but instead talk about the magical misadventures of a righteous Fire Trickster. Cause this character's goal was farming simulacrum splinters, but instead he ended up farming something completely different. Though it wasn't much of a loss because it was quite profitable in the end. But before we go into that topic, good news everyone, we hit 400 subbers this past weekend. And now the goal is to hit 500 or more. So hey, if you're new around here and you end up enjoying tonight's content, be sure to drop the sub and a rating. There's more Path of Exile related stuff coming to the channel soon and you may find that entertaining as well. Anyways, let us go back to the misadventures of the righteous Fire Trickster. And it's actually quite detailed, for you see, after finishing the last character and video, I was left with the need for something quote unquote chill. Chill in the sense that it was a simpler build, something that didn't need much setup, and where boss killing or ultra tryhard gameplay wasn't the number one priority. So after deliberating whether to go as a chieftain or a trickster, I opted for the latter as we had just gone over a chieftain. Even though the gameplay would have been drastically different, in the end it was a change of pace, of skill tree scenery, and it also came with some challenges of their own. The next step was defining if I wanted to stack cluster jewel notables or do some black magic stuff with the tree and avoid investing into the clusters. Sadly, the black magic approach was not feasible and instead the cluster jewel stacking was a bit more realistic. However, I sadly committed some mistakes here and there, and that got me 2 cluster jewels that are using extra passive points, which in the end could have been used in more life nodes or another jewel socket. But then came another challenge slash hurdle, which was using a 6 link in the chest or an Essence of Horror Elder helmet to house Righteous Fire. Originally I went with the chest, but after fiddling around with Path of Building, even on a 5 link, an Essence of Horror helmet is a better choice. So I set out to craft my own, and after failing a couple of times, I traded for one, which ended up being cheaper than my crafting attempts. Then came the weapon, and that was actually pretty easy to acquire. It was just a matter of playing with the mod filters on the trade site, and eventually I found one that synergized nicely with the rest of the build. The rest of the gear wasn't difficult to get, though certain things like the Circle of Anguish that I got were questionably priced compared to other similar options. In the end, the character is stacking the notable wrapped in flame, some life regen here and there, and he was ready to farm simulacrum splinters for the mad currency gains. And this is where the first misadventure begins. I ran out of alpha missions. You see, when farming simulacrum splinters, the goal is to use the maps you're gonna run, aka apply sextants, fragments, scarabs, and for even more monsters, you use alpha missions. So I started farming maps, and before I knew it, I was out of incursions. The next misadventure is that I ran out of tropical island maps. Now, I could have traded for a couple stacks of tropical islands, but the prices didn't incentivize me to do that because I was already running out of currency to play with after spending a hefty chunk on the character's setup. And that forced me to look for map alternatives, which pushed me towards Lighthouse, though with all honesty, that map farm wasn't bad, but it also wasn't top notch. However, this is where this pseudo splinter farmer took a wild turn, because considering that I had no alpha missions to play with, my next big brain idea was to use John to compensate for that. And that's when she, or rather it, came in clutch. After the first 3 maps, I had it that fled sitting on rank 3 as leader of research. Now, I know that not everyone is quote unquote knowledgeable in terms of making currency. The importance of it that fled on research is its ability to operate bridgestones. Pure bridgestones tend to trade for a pretty penny. However, the big play is having it reach rank 3 while being in control of the safe house, because that is going to allow you to operate 2 bridgestones when you raid the research safe house. So here's the interesting part. Shayula's pure bridgestones have always been some of the most profitable sales, as people tend to use those to level their characters quote unquote safely, especially when pushing for 100. At the beginning of the league, aka a month and a half ago, I remember trading a couple of pure Shayulas for like 200 to 220 cows a pop. This time though, each one is selling for 2.4 Exiles. That's roughly 440 cows per bridgestone. If she's the leader, then that's 4.8 Exiles, aka roughly 880 cows, if not a little bit more. So, in the end, what does this have to do with the righteous Fire Trickster? Well, considering that number A, I had run out of good maps to farm splinters, letter 2, I ran out of alpha missions, and 3, I had plenty of John missions available. So I said screw it, let's promote a toxic work environment and farm the Syndicate. Now, I am no savant when it comes to maximizing profits from the Syndicate. Yes, you can get Gravicious on intervention, especially as the leader, and get an extra income from trading the Divination Scarabs. But personally, I found targeting it at Fled on research exclusively to be easier and faster to farm, which led to some decent profits, compared to my lousy attempt at Simulacrum Splinter farming. And just so that we are on the same page, I started Sunday morning with 4 Exiles and 150 cows in the stash. Of course, those numbers do come after investing into the righteous Fire Trickster, and I finished the day with 21 Exiles and 264 cows, though with all honesty some currency did come from selling Simulacrums, pure Exiles dropping, and random trades. Okay, let's derail this video for a moment, because I know that at least one of you is thinking, did this guy just make a video talking about Righteous Fire first, barely any Simulacrum Splinter farm, and then the real topic is that you mainly farmed it at Fled?
Yeah.
But hey, now with all that currency in the stash and the gear of the character that I'm gonna trade away now, we'll be doing something else later down this week. Still, if you are interested in the character or running a Righteous Fire Trickster, I'll be putting the POV link in the description, and if you end up playing it, you may wanna attempt and improve it, because to be quite frank, I'd rather play something else after having this short quote-unquote farming experience. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. Yes, I know that it's a bit short, but I'm trying to post content more frequently, and that was also the goal of this video. I'm thinking Cyclone Berserker stuff for the next character, which should be an interesting thing to witness. Yes, I know that we've been doing Marauder related builds lately, but I promise that's the last one in a while. Anyways, that's it for me today. If you enjoyed the video and you aren't subscribed yet, be sure to do that on the way out. Otherwise, a rating and a comment help overcome the YouTube gatekeeping, also known as the algorithm. Thanks for watching the video, for your support, and I hope that you have a nice rest of your day/week. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.